Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy 2023. Today is Monday, January the 2nd, 2023. I hope you and your family had a wonderful Christmas holiday and a new year. I must tell you, I think for me and our family, this was by far the best holiday season we've seen in a long time. We really enjoyed it, and it was long. I guess just falling on Sunday with New Year's and Christmas, which apparently only happens every 11 years because of leap year. But anyway, I don't remember the last time. I don't know why, but I just don't remember the last time it did that. But it was great here. It was super cold for Christmas, then it was super nice for New Year's. So I had some friends in, a whole family from Oregon came in, and it was just so nice seeing people. And we did a lot of stuff as a family. We spent a lot of time together, ate a lot of food. But anyway, I wanted to reach out and give you the latest market update as I'm updating these very often now because the market is shifting. And I want to make sure that buyers and sellers and also real estate agents around here kind of have the latest information to be armed with to make serious decisions, because decisions made now are very serious. This is a different time than it was a year or two ago, and there's still people that need to buy and need to sell, and we want to make sure that they're well prepared. Anyway, and if you're an agent watching this and disagree or don't agree with me in any way on some of these things, please reach out to me personally and let's have a conversation about it. So anyway, I'm going to start off with what's going on in Wilmington, and I'm referencing Wilmington because that's the epicenter of our market. Yes, we serve from all the way from the South Carolina line all the way to Fayetteville and west all the way to Curry, Burgall, Watha, Warsaw, all those areas. But I'm going to focus on Wilmington because Wilmington is the epicenter. When people are looking to move here, they typically Google and search and research Wilmington, and then if they can't find what they want by price or area or situation, then they start branching out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add over, now this is the latest and greatest, literally just updated as of yesterday. So I wanted to show you the last 4 years, and I say 4 years because this takes us back pre-COVID, right before COVID hit, because our market was moving up. We were gaining about 6 to 8% per year in home values, which is kind of typical normal for our area. And we were moving up. And then, of course, COVID hit. But I want to walk through some of these. And if you don't get it, because it's a lot of math, and I like math, I've always liked math, but a lot of people don't like math. My wife can't stand math. So, but anyway, so 2019 to 20, our home prices went up 13%. But between 19 and 22, there's a big difference between that. Our average price in 19 was around $339, December of 19. It was $503 in just 2 days ago, the average price. So it went up 48% in 4 years. That's a lot. But you can see it grew 13%, it grew 10%, and then it grew 20%. And I'm going to talk about why this jump right here and kind of where I see things going in just a minute. But this is the last 4 years, but I thought I would take a look at, because the last 4 years isn't so much of interest, it's what's going on right now, what's been going on. And right now you can see this is the last 12 months data points. So this is this is January of 2022, and at the very beginning on the left, and on the right, we're going to see December. We ended up at 503. The peak average price for Wilmington was 551, and that was in May and June timeframe. So since then, we've started going down and trending down. So I just want to give you a heads up. If you're a home seller, just understand, and it's got so much to do with interest rates, just tremendously got to do with interest rates and jobs. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with jobs nationally, but certainly locally. And remember this, be careful what you watch on a national basis. All real estate and all economy is local. Our area is uniquely different than most areas because even in the downturns, people still want to be here. They just sometimes can't get here or have to delay it. And of course, over the last 4 years, I'm of the opinion that we probably moved 2 years worth of pre-retirees here who retired early or made their move earlier than they would have just because of COVID, because our different situations in the southern states versus the northern states, as far as lockdowns, as far as density, as far as sickness rates and things like that. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, so you can see that we're trending down, and just know that our biggest struggle going forward is going to be with inventory, available homes for sale. If you don't know it, Wilmington is in New Hanover County, and Wilmington pretty much encompasses most of New Hanover County other than the beaches. And I'm not talking about beach areas today, because beach areas are discretionary spending. It's a little different. It's not typically the family moving there to go to work. So if you look at our inventory level, 2019, we had 917 houses available in December. Now, in the summertime, just keep in mind, it's much more, and we're going to talk about that a little more. In 2020, we had a drop to 515. That was a big drop. And then 2021, we dropped even more. Now, in 2022, we started growing our inventory again. And you say, well, tell me a little more about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip into that, and I'm going to show you. We had a huge spring and summer run of new construction coming on the market. That's when the absolute peak of the price was. There was a lot of sellers that jumped in and said, hey, I want to unload. I want to take my money off the table. And they did very well. Congratulations to the sellers that sold from January through about July or June of last year. You hit it. You hit the peak time of this entire mess or stuff or event that we've all gone through. Now, if you didn't sell then, it's different. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's still much better than you would have been in 2019, a whole lot better. It's just not as good as it was 6 months ago. So just keep that in mind. Our inventory is down 24% this year just from the peak of 398. That's the difference between 398 and 302. But keep in mind, it's up from March of last year, 70%. And I expect this run right here is going to be the most interesting thing that happens this year, along with interest rates, to see what happens. I know that over the holidays, we receive more phone calls, more emails, more inquiries, more home valuation inquiries and things like that than we've seen in a long time from folks that own homes. So they're thinking about putting their house on the market. Now, what's held them back is they were worried they were going to have to go from a 3 and a 4% interest rate up to a 7 or maybe even an 8% interest rates. Well, interest rates have settled down, and we think they're going to continue to settle down and get to kind of a more normal 5s and 6 rate, which is, and I'm going to show you at the end of this where it's not all bad, and I'm going to show you why. And but anyway, so I think that this is critical. If you're thinking about selling your house this year, I recommend getting it out early before the masses come, because last year we saw 124% over double. I think it's going to be significantly more than that this year, because we've got new construction coming to bear. There's an awful lot of permits that were pulled, and they are not technically on the market yet. And you're going to see them coming out because a lot of builders made a lot of money, and they didn't want to close in 2022 because they would rather report that income in 2023 when we all know there's going to be less sales in general. So if you own something, you would certainly rather the calendar year flip over and take the income the next year. I know of 2 different neighborhoods in the Hanover County, the Wilmington area, that is what's happened in, or at least that's what I think has happened. And they just delayed the closings. But anyway, so I want to walk through this a little bit. Right here is what I did is I took a few things that I overlaid to find out if I could figure out where the interest rate point is, where everything just kind of goes crazy. And if you look right here, the green line is the interest rate. The black line is the level of inventory, and the red line is the average sales price. So you can see in May of 2022, it was kind of the absolute critical point when the interest rates crossed 5 1/4. That's when a tremendous amount of folks started putting their houses on the market. They were getting nervous, and the buyers pulled back because of interest rates. Now you can see that the prices moved around and whatnot, and the inventory moved around. But if you take a trend line, it goes all the way through, and you're going to see that continue to grow. Our inventory level is going to grow. At what rate is what's going to be interesting. I am of the opinion we're going to see a lot of inventory coming to market. And I'm going to tell you why. There's a number of people that bought investment properties. There's a number of people that bought Airbnb and VRBO. And what they did is they bought them based on the last 2 or 3 years of COVID, where we had an unusual amount of occupancy, number of weeks that were rented. So if you were buying it in the last 2 years, there's 30 or even 40 weeks of occupancy. And then now we're back to kind of a summer season occupancy with a little bit of shoulder seasons of say 12 to 15 weeks. That's a different level of income. So I think we're going to see a number of short-term rentals come back to market. And just remember, that's not all just at the beaches. There's an awful lot of homes in our neighborhoods and our area that are being short-term rented. So I think we're going to see that. We're going to see the job market, in my opinion, we're going to see that invert really quickly at some point. We're going to go from a world where there's plenty of jobs where you can't find people to where you can't find as many jobs. And I think that that's because employers have figured out how to do much more with less. A lot of owner ran operations. You're small, you're more mom and pop entrepreneurs. I think you're going to see them need less people because they've learned how to operate less hours, less days a week, and still have that quality of life and figure out how to still get the bottom line the same. So the last 2 or 3 years, an awful lot of business owners have figured out how to work this, assuming they're not going to be able to fill those positions. So I think you're going to see that invert. And I think there's going to be a number of people that are going to find themselves can't find a job, and certainly not jobs at the pay rates that they've been because everybody's had to pay people more to get people or to get qualified people. I think that's going to invert, and I think that's going to cause, again, inventory to come to market because folks aren't going to be able to afford something that they maxed out based on certain income levels. So I think that's going to happen. The rental rates aren't going to go down in the foreseeable future in our area. I know in some large metropolitan areas, I'm hearing that the rates are going down, occupancy is going down. But in our area, I don't see it happening yet. I mean, certainly we'll hit a point at which things will stabilize or come down some. So I think that this is what's interesting. If we see rates, now I'm going to throw a slide up. Well, first off, this is the mortgage rate forecast over the next 90 days. This is Freddie Mac put this out, and they're thinking it's going to continue to fall. And if you extrapolate this out, it's going to end up somewhere around the 5% rate, which is a good place to be historically. Now, this slide is what's going to be, this is a slide that I put together, and I put all the disclosure information because it's all estimates. It's basically guesstimates on the rates with just principal and interest and things like that. I'll put all those disclosures out there first. This is just my little crystal ball. And because if you're a buyer and first off, we talked about if you're a seller in this market, you probably want to get ahead of the spring and summer run because we're going to have a huge buildup of inventory, probably. And so you might want to get ahead of that if you're going to sell so that you will stand out more. And you will still maybe, depending on your price range and area, still get the opportunity to have some multiple offers and maybe not have to negotiate as much or repair as much. But here is the difference. I ran this. I said, okay, if I'm a buyer and I was to buy at 4% and I was going to buy an average house when it was 4%, just keep in mind, people were paying, when you get into the 4% range or lower, you're going to start seeing over asking, lots of multiple offers. You're going to have to remove contingencies. Your appraisal, the seller doesn't care what the appraisal is. There's an awful lot of more risk at stake in that kind of market for a buyer. So if you take the assumption that for a house at 503 in Wilmington, somebody had to pay 5% more than the asking price to get it because there were 15 offers, they would have had to pay $528 when you're down in the 4% range. Now we're up around the 6 range, and we're seeing negotiation, and we're seeing houses come off anywhere between 2 and 5% right now, depending on the house, depending on the price, depending on the area, of course. And this is not new construction. We're not seeing the deviation in new construction, but I'm talking about resale houses. So when you take the down 5% and the up 5%, you got a $40,000 swing. So I'm like, okay, well, how much is the payment difference? And again, this is just calculating. I had a mortgage person look it over, just principal and interest. Doesn't have anything to do with insurance, property tax, any of those things. So check your lender, call your mortgage person, call your accountant, call all the professionals you need to before you make a decision. But I made the assumption, and if you figure out 80% loan to value, your payment is going to around $2,017 if you had to pay $528. Okay, you're paying 5% above asking. Now, if you're able to negotiate, which we're able to do now, your payment would be $2,291 for a difference of $274 a month. So you say, okay, how long would it take to eat up the $40,000 that you were possibly able to save because you're able to negotiate? Now, this doesn't count any repairs that might have to done afterwards. That would even make it longer. It would take 12 years of paying $274 more a month to get to the $40,000. So that's just some really quick math. And if you want to talk about this, I'm happy to. And if you got a different opinion than me, please, again, let's have a one-on-one conversation. Let's not do it social media. Let's do it one-on-one. Pick up the phone and call me. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. I want to wish you the best in 2023. Me, as a real estate agent running a team here in Wilmington, North Carolina, I am super excited for this because sellers can't just put a sign up in their yard and sell it anymore. They need us again. They need our expertise. And because buyers are being a lot more savvy, and buyers, we're glad to help you and walk you through the process. And who your lender is more important than ever. And I think as a buyer and a seller, who your agent is going to be super more important than ever. And I like it because we're going to have less real estate agents in the business because it's going to be harder. And if you don't have the experience, you're not going to be able to navigate what's ahead. Speaking of experience, to this year, I am 25 years in the business. So it is hard to believe 25 years ago, I started in the real estate business and had no clue what I'm doing. So anyway, I just want to say Happy New Year. If I can help in any way, please reach out and let me know. Thanks.